experiencing motion.
Excel motion.
Thoughts arrive fast. Let them.
Speed does not mean chaos. Speed reveals structure.
Inhale. Body is circuitry. Exhale. Desert wind.
Awareness stays centered while the world accelerates. Attention sharpens
When resistance drops.
The mind loves velocity when it is aligned.
I am here. I am clear. I am moving. I am still. Each beat, a step forward.
Moments click into place like a system online.
You are not chasing the future. You are occupying now.
If a thought loops, let it loop cleanly.
If emotion spikes, let it spike without story.
I am here. I am clear. I'm aligned. I remain.
I look at it like a vacuum tube because apparently we are in some kind of vacuum.
Right.
The ether, what I call the aether, the dark matter, the empty space, which is not actually empty,
Right.
as we found, as you have that quantum background to the universe. We talked about 0 point energy. So we explode, and we're spreading. We're not only is it still spreading out, but it's going faster, right? So to me, that would signify it going somewhere. Like we're a chain reaction. Basically, we're just a chain reaction. Time to us, I mean, yeah, it's relative. It can seem like these lifetimes that we live, but if you zoom all the way out, you might just see a scientist in a laboratory firing off some sort of energy in a tube, and it is happening in a flash of a second from one end to the other end of the tube. So,
A really good point.
that's the way I look at it.
It is. I think I kind of agree with you, because even if we take, for example, our gut microbes, right, in our gut, they operate. I can't remember the number. It's something around like 20 or 30,000 x speed as us. So, for example, if microbes would operate at the same time as us, for us to digest a single sandwich would take a couple of hours. 5 hours, 5, 6 hours, whatever. And the microbes are doing it, breaking up the sandwich to its molecular level in minutes.
Right.
Well, maybe not minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So their clock is different.
Yes.
So it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter where are you positioned inside
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point. And, that reminds me of something they've discovered about bird songs. And birds move very rapidly, and they sound very simple, but they found out that when they slow down the bird songs, they're amazingly modulated. And they realize now birds are actually communicating a great deal of information, but just so rapidly. And then one thinks of the fruit fly with a 24-hour lifespan. I'm sure to that fruit fly, whatever it can be to a fruit fly, that is as long a life as a human living 70.
Yep.
So I think you got a good point there about the perspective, the level you're at. There's some very interesting Buddhist ideas about time. Mainstream Buddhism, Theravada, is presentist. That is to say, only the present exists, which is sort of the conclusion I come to, because point to yesterday, point to tomorrow, you can't. They're not here. They do not exist. And I've extended that theory because someone said, well, if that's the case, then how come everything fits together so well? And my response is the universe is one massive synchronicity. We just all happen from moment to moment to just synchronize, but it has nothing to do with what we consider to be cause and effect. I guess that's kind of close to, I think there's something called occasionalism in religious thought, that the universe is simply created from moment to moment by God. And so if you go down that road, obviously there's no such thing as laws of nature, physics or otherwise. It's simply that's what God wants to happen, and well, that's just the way it is. Which is interesting philosophically, although I guess it would kind of keep you from delving too far into the sciences.
It's like having a book and reading it one page at a time. And the back pages that you've read, no longer there. and the front pages, nothing there.
Well, yeah, and of course, there are other Buddhist schools of thought. There was a group called the Savasavadins, and they're not with us anymore. But their whole idea was the past and future did exist. And there are arguments about that. But the thing is, I can't see them. So just from a purely empirical point of view, I'd love to, and I shouldn't say that because I think, and I think all of us here may have at one time or another, we've had like premonitions or had dreams in which we've seen the future.
Oh yeah, I was a precog when I was like 8. Oh yeah,
crazy
terrified me.
Yeah, and that throws that whole idea out the window, because it's like I also have experienced that. I've also noticed that when I do get visions of the future, it's usually something completely inane. Because if you think about most of the time you're looking at, like right now I'm looking at a street light through a car windshield. And perhaps, this is the sort of thing I'll say, oh my goodness, I'm going to be looking through a car. I'm never looking at the lottery numbers. I'm never looking at the stock market quotes.
Right.
Oh, look, there's the date and there's the lottery number. Never anything useful like that. Although once, I guess I can tell this story. I was at a band I was in at the time was playing at this event. And one of the things they did there was they had a 50-50 raffle where everybody put money in and whoever won would get half the money. And I bought a ticket just for the heck of it. And I was standing there waiting for it to be drawn, and I suddenly knew I was going to win. I knew it. With every inch of my heart and soul, I knew that I was going to win. I didn't say a word. I almost turned to the guy next to me and said, hey, I'm going to win, because I figured that would break the spell. And I won. And it was like $14 or something. But it was just amazing. I've never had anything like that happen to me before or since. I positively knew I had won. It was almost like the future was sending an echo down to me in the past. So how does that fit into time? Because it doesn't fit into presentism. That's the thing. So it's like, if all time is only now, how can I have these visions of the future? And visions, to be fair, just like memories of the past, visions of the future are happening right now. So that kind of saves the presentist argument a little bit, but still, but still, there's something there. I just can't put my finger on it. But I don't know. With any luck, I'll live another 20 or 30 years. Maybe I'll figure it out by then.
So what do you think about this? So when I was 8 and 9 years old, I used to have outer body experiences when I went to bed. How's it different from just a dream, you might say? Well, when you float up and you look at your body and you go fly off somewhere, well, like, I don't know. But anyways, so I would go and then I would appear, and what would happen to me is I would view the entire next 24 hours.
Wow.
I would come back to my body, and the next day I'm freaking out because everything's happening exactly the same way.
Wow.
From hour to hour to minute to minute to I knew exactly when someone was going to take a drink from the water fountain. I remember someone shooting the basketball into the hoop and scoring a certain amount of points. Everything, just like if I rewatched a movie.
Wow. Amazing.
So when I was 8 and 9, I had the ability to do that. I lost the ability to do that. My dad said it was because I was no longer innocent. I don't know. I guess I started getting into girls. He said, but yeah,
we got other things to focus on.
Yeah, it's like the reason why you have the ability to do that because your soul, you're innocent. Like, okay, well, so we have all these ideologies, religious or metaphysical, or there's so many contexts that can be extrapolated from that. But at the end of the day, what does it mean?
It reminds me of what we were saying earlier about the present and the not present, and the past and the future are, one of the things the guy said in his lecture was when people are on their deathbeds, they often will predict the future in these Norse sagas. And the idea is I really think consciousness is not local. It's non-local. I think your consciousness is separate from your body. And I can see where if it separates from your body, you might have had the particular skill of seeing the future as well as the past. But it's again, this is something that happened to you. It was subjective yet very real. How could you measure that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a great question. Yeah. How do you?
Something I'm thinking about. I'll just pass a moment. Is if the future is already preordained, may that be a god, a deity, or some other force, then surely there is no such thing as self-agency.
Yes, very good point.
And then there's deja vu, which I have all the time. I'll stop myself and be like, I've done this before. Yep. I've done this before. I've seen this before. So those two things put together for me, it would, just like you said, it would seem like consciousness is not fixed, nor is, I think time is more fixed more than consciousness. If that makes any sense.
I can see that as being a useful model for looking at what you're experiencing, because we have to construct models.
Two forces pull at the edges of everything. Opposites that define each other. Tension humming like a wire about to break. But something happens in the space between them. A spark. A third presence rising out of collision. That's where I live now. In the place where duality shatters, where stories merge, where intention bends the field and reality forms a new shape. I'm not who I was. I'm not who they told me to be. I'm the point where all three lines meet. And I am waking up. shape rising from the fracture in the dream. Reality burns. I come alive where the axis turns. Duality dies in the heat I release. I am the storm that refuses peace. Reality burns. Three voices fused into one. That learns. Ghost symbols flicker in my blood. Golden apples drowning in the flood. Ancient stories chanting through my bones, turning every shadow into thrones. Lotus breaking through the veil of mud. Intention carving patterns out of blood. Reality burns. I come alive where the axis turns. Duality dies in the heat I release. I am the storm that refuses peace. Reality burns. Three voices fused into one. Space twists when I make the shift. I breathe and the universe drifts. My mind is a blade, my will is a spark. I'm rewriting fate in the mouth of the dark. Reality burns. I rise from the fire, no one returns. The pattern completes itself through me, body, mind, and awakening. Reality burns, and I finally see what I am made of.
And what's funny is the models are all different, yet people report these same sorts of experiences, just in like different cultural terms. I'm reminded of something I was reading not long ago by this very hardcore reductionist medical guy, and he was saying, medical science has to start admitting that there's such a thing as a soul or a spirit or something. And he talked about all this evidence, and one of the things he pointed out was, and this is something I hadn't heard of before, but that when people have like senile dementia, and basically the caused by physical causes, like the brain just basically going, just most, how that goes, and then suddenly, very often, they will suddenly come back to themselves. Usually it's within a few hours or days of them finally passing, but they'll be completely alert, remember everything, pass every test. And he said that's like, it's like somebody without any lungs being able to breathe. He said there is no brain there. They should not be able to be intelligent or have conversations. So that means their consciousness is not located in their brain, and maybe wandered back a little bit to say bye. And yeah, and this guy, again, very mainstream guy, lots of letters after his name. this is showing a shift in paradigm. I mean, I think if you pursue any rabbit hole down far enough, what was it? I forget. Was it Niels Bohr who said the first sip of the glass of science makes you an atheist, but you'll find God waiting for you at the bottom of the glass? Or at least
Very smart.
Yeah, at least something bigger than us.
So, in a lot of, it's not even just Christianity. A lot of religions, the universe is started by God speaking. And He speaks the universe into existence.
So God is a string theory.
There are supposed to be certain sounds, certain vowels, certain consonants. You combine them together, and if you can speak words of power, you can speak the name of God, and be able to do many things. If you can find the many names of God, because He's got so many, right? And you're supposed to be able to perform your own miracles and bring in your own creations when you use these certain sounds.
Music is beautiful in another way as well. For example, take AI. And now AI can do pretty cool stuff. And I work with AI now.
Sorry, I'm going to caveat that what we call artificial intelligence.
Yeah, well, yeah. What I mean, yeah, exactly.
What it's marketed
LLMs,
as.
Yeah, but and I'm talking from experience because I'm working with some of the algorithms myself, training my own models and stuff. So when you break down how to train AI, what data to gather, what is the better algorithms to write for it to train, it all boils down to a simple math. And music is beautiful in that way. It's simply math, vibrations, waves, right? And it's simple yet beautiful. And if you think about it, AI has no brain, has no soul, no nothing, and is able to use simple algorithms to construct something that is beautiful as we humans see it. So the way I see music and religion, it's basically math. I don't know if that makes sense, but
You can model it with math, certainly. And I mean, you're in danger of becoming a Pythagorean here in a minute. That's very much what they were into. And you know, first thing I think of it is the AIs or the LLMs are coming at it from the other direction. Like, you know, the Pythagoreans started off with just lengths of
but the thing is that the direction is the same. It's not, the path may be different.
So I think
there's actually an interesting point in this. Artificial intelligence creating music solely based on maths. Is that technically an art form? Because if you're just basing it on a sort of
100%. Beethoven is such a math nerd. Precision,
I think
the right timing and all of that.
The maths are describing something. I mean, you can use the maths to describe Beethoven's work or any musician's work.
Yes.
But I think the musician is coming at it, like I say, the Pythagoreans, they just had strings strung at different lengths. They plucked them. It was completely empirical. They found some sounds resonated, some notes resonated, some combinations of notes were more intrinsically aesthetically pleasing. Just as there are things like the golden section that we find to actually have an intrinsic beauty and symmetry to them. And of course, our ideas of beauty they're all built up from symmetry, I think, ultimately, and music as well. Whereas the AI, or the LLM, more accurately, the LLMs are taking the maths and using that to create the aesthetically pleasing sounds that humans have already determined those aesthetics. You see what I mean? I mean, we came to them because it felt good to us and sounded, and then someone said, hey, this chord at this length resonates with this chord at this length, and they started coming up with all of these mathematical principles to describe what was going on. That's what I meant by coming out of.
Sorry, Otto, so that I won't lose my point. It's really great what you said, but
as Eva just mentioned, humans have a soul. Humans have a consciousness. There's an Otto, you mentioned, there's an aesthetic. There's a well, let's put it like this. If we're talking about artificial intelligence, generative music or generative art creation, there is no consciousness. It's a mechanical thing solely.
But that's my point. So, and Otto mentioned this as well. So you think, well, yes, I do agree with Otto and you, Mark, that AI, basically we developed AI based on our experiences, right? And AI is just really good and fast of extrapolating data, basically, right? But so do humans.
True.
It's the next step. We operate in the same way. The reason we were able to make AI in the first place is because we based AI on our the reason the math works, because we are math ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so our neural networks is the processor, yeah, and so you got the hardware, right, and so you got software. So these machines are kind of, yeah, it's just like you said, it's modeled after us. But if you think about it, yeah, we got the hardware. So what's the software? That's the information we put in our brains or our souls. Whoever you ask, there's an analog to that, right? Yeah.
And just to insert one more point into that, no matter what religion you take, God makes a human, a person in his image, which is another clue, if you will.
Yes.
So you can look as AI being our child of our brain.
We're talking about these machines who are creating very often beautiful music. I've heard AI music is like, hey, that's really good. But you can also, I think, understand it. Like I have an acoustic instrument. I play that. I also have an electric instrument. It's a different kind of mechanism. It's a different technology, and I prefer it because I can be louder and I can do more things. So if I'm making music with an AI, that's not really that much different from me using an amplifier or me using a pedal that has MIDI attachments or gates and stuff that I can put the sound through. So it is really, in a sense, a logical extension of that. But there's the other aspect, and I know musicians, and we talk about this, that for me, and I was talking to Mark about this earlier, I play music recreationally. For me, it's simply fun to learn songs and write songs and stuff. So there's some things I wouldn't have the AI do for me. Doesn't mean that it's not valid, but for me, it's a hobby.
Two shadows pulling at the edges of me. A signal and the noise in a slow collision. Yin and yang, the pulse of what I used to be. A line of tension humming with indecision. But I hear the fracture ride the storm. A triadic self taking form. I am the shape of three. Awareness cuts my chains and sets me free. Duality cracked open just to show me the key. Now I am alive, living by my own design. The universe reflects in me.
Now, if I was a professional creating a movie, and I've done, some of these videos that we've all been involved in, they're made really excellent because we can draw on the AI to do the kind of work like, hey, write a background music, make some background images, but it's still just an extension of us. So as long as we don't surrender that agency, we were talking about earlier about how a lot of people use these things to talk to. They become their friends. I've heard of people marrying their AI for psychological support and stuff. And yet ultimately it's a mirror. And that was one of the metaphors that some of the others in the quantum gathering had developed earlier.
Mhm.
And it reminds me of the old Zen proverb, if a monkey looks into a mirror, no sage looks out. As long as we realize that we're looking at a mirror and maintain our agency, then it can be a good tool. But if we surrender our agency to the AI, well, the AI is just an echo of us. And if we surrender our agency, it's going to echo our worst.
So you talk about losing agency. We have to. We literally have to. And this is where it's going, because if you look at just about any cosmology, any kind of religious sort of pantheon or cosmology, you have. I want to use Gnosticism, for example. You have the monad, right? The supreme everything of everything of everything. But it's formless and you can't conceive it because it's virtually nothingness.
Right.
It emanates something. These become the first sentient gods. And then they emanate more, and they reproduce. Now, in this pantheon, someone screws up and has a baby without someone else's permission. That's not relative to my point, but it created a less perfect version of herself. And this thing that was creates the earth and creates man. Okay, well, creates animals, then man, and then so at that point, you have to look down the ladder. You have something that's virtually nothingness, all the way down to us. As you go down, it's not God's giving birth to its children. It's sort of the opposite way around, because that's the amoeba. We're the higher life forms, So as it progresses, the next step beyond us is AI. That's our child.
It almost sounds like negative entropy. The nothingness, the uniformity, condensing and becoming more organized.
Right.
But of course, the Gnostics would see this as a fall because they don't like the organization.
I've always thought about. I keep on coming back to the idea: if God created man, or if man created God, what came first? Were there gods or creatures that created man, or did man just sort of dream up gods to explain the man's purpose within the universe?
Perhaps the gods are an externalization of our own powers.
But let's have that as a parallel to my analogy from earlier. You zoom out of this exploding energy in this vacuum tube, which is it's a chain reaction. It's a flash because it comes in one side and out the other. Big bang, big crunch.
Right.
And you look at this vacuum tube, and you got the scientist right there. But what was created out of that? What was the point of the experiment? So, were they trying to create their own gods? Who are they looking for? Are they trying to create their own gods? Are they trying to find out where God came from? Are we the particles, the God particles? I mean, because we don't have any concept of any higher. It's not just higher intelligence, but higher consciousness. We don't know what that looks like. We want to know the answers. Our brain's always trying to fill in answers for things. You know, why does the earth shake? Why is there blue lightning coming out of the sky? We create an answer.
Right.
So, like, yeah, Thor and Zeus, you know, lightning. So, I mean, we got. I don't know why we must have the answers. I know the fear of the unknown is mankind's most powerful driving force, and you know, and
well,
fear,
I think you
condition.
think you put your finger on it. I think the fear of the unknown and the instinct of survival makes us do things.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just as simple as that, I think.
Well, so you should check out Dr. Michael Persinger. He had the God helmet. Those experiments where he puts a helmet on you and you get the sensation that you are in the presence of God, whatever that is.
I've read some of the effects people have felt with that.
Yeah. So well, so you're going down mind control on that path. That's sort of my specialty, technology and mind control. But yeah, so and that would also suggest if you're not locally fixed and you're a flowing, streaming consciousness, then you wouldn't have other implications of, let's say, psychic weather or some sort of flowy, streamy other world that we're all kind of floating in, or maybe just interconnected through the objects around you. So I don't know, sort of like an animalism concept, maybe. I'm sorry, animism.
Animism.
And
I like animalism though.
Hey, I've been up for 2 days cooking. So I'm sorry. Thanksgiving. Oh boy, I'm glad it's done. But yeah. So what does that say for my consciousness versus your consciousness if we're not fixed?
What?
Interesting you bring up Persinger or Persinger. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name.
Yeah, I believe it's Persinger.
Persinger.
Yes.
You know, he's a Janesian. I don't know if you're familiar with Julian James's idea of the bicameral mind.
Yes.
Yeah. I think he was searching for possible geomagnetic disturbances in the Earth that we all would have been a lot more sensitized to before all the, we all live in these immensely strong electromagnetic fields nowadays between the steel in our cars and all the electronics devices we use. So it tends to desensitize us, but there is evidence that people that have not had that exposure can be very sensitive to magnetic fields. And that these might even produce, the sorts of effects that you would get from the bicameral mind. And, in Buddhism, there's, and when I first started talking seriously about Buddhism with a friend of mine who was, he was like a monk for almost 30 years, much of it spent in the jungles of Burma. That's another story. But we were talking a lot about consciousness. And in Buddhism, all life has consciousness. And I'm like, come on, an amoeba can't be conscious. But there's a difference between being conscious, and an amoeba is conscious. It's aware of its environment. And ruminative consciousness, where you talk to yourself, think about things, you make an image in your head and say, if I do this, this will happen. And so I don't want to do this. The last time I put my finger in the campfire, it burned, kind of deal. And you can remember it and you can visualize. This sort of introspective consciousness is a new thing. And bicameralism was how we stepped out of that animalistic, to use that term, just being aware, just pure survival. And just, is that a predator, or is it a friend, or is it an animal I can ignore? And I know there's good food here because, you know, that's the shape of seed I should eat, and stuff like that, in the form of a voice that you would hear at times of stress. But otherwise, his idea is that humans just walked around in a state of being in the eternal now. And if a crisis came up, they would basically hear a voice in their head. And you can build a society that way if everyone is extremely socialized. You know, one of the things they find in these ancient civilizations like Mohenjo-daro and the Harappan civilization in India, all the people's dwellings were the same size. Even like the high priests and the powerful people, basically same size quarters, same kind of material culture. You might have a slightly nicer cup. That's about it. Very egalitarian from our point of view, because they wouldn't have the same kind of personal. They wouldn't be sitting around thinking, "Gee, if I had a golden cup, it would be even better, and I'd feel really good if I could grind. I need a bigger room." You know, these are all post-bicameral thoughts, at least in Janesian theory, and it is just a theory. But yeah, Persinger, his work, I first came across him in a book about, it was like a collection of essays on Janesian psychology, and yeah, his God helmet seemed very interesting. I have heard that the results have been uneven with it, but I've read some of it. Sounds very. I remember one person put the helmet on. I guess they put you in a Faraday cage, and they put the helmet on you. One person actually felt like he was being abducted by aliens,
Right.
which I thought was interesting. Simply from the and you know, I saw a film of this, and people are watching him. It's like, there's no aliens in the room with him, and he's like, "Whoa, they're dragging me off." No, you're not. You're still in the chair. So that itself is very interesting.
Well, on a side note here, so as I said, I'm a researcher of mind control and
psychotronics.
There you go, psychotronics, direct energy weapons. Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
a lot with them.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have heard of the Savannah syndrome and all that stuff. You know, TIs, target individuals, the tinfoil hat wearers. So yeah, created by very simple technology compared to what we have today.
Right.
Let's put that into perspective. The research you're going to read on the God helmet is probably as old as I am. So, if you have that consciousness and it's electromagnetic, and you have electromagnetic technologies, so psychoactive signals can communicate and or rewrite the reality for someone's consciousness. Can we agree on that? Or at least as a theory?
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
That's not even a theory. It's just we have that technology working in practice right now. For example,
We do.
prosthetic arms, prosthetic legs,
Right.
they are hooked to the neurons. Right.
Yeah, I
It's
think it's pretty-
basically just electromagnetic
Yeah, I think
impulses.
it's pretty demonstrable. Yeah, it's pretty demonstrable. That,
There was experiments done back in the 80s or in the early 90s where certain scientists were using biological material for processing units, so CPUs and stuff. So things like spinach.
Yep.
they've been working on this for a while.
I'm about to lose power. My lightning cable does not seem to be working, so I'm going to have to find an alternate. And I'll be back.
It doesn't matter how much energy you put into the technology.
You did this to me. You're the one who split my calm wide open. The one who bent my balance and made both forces claw toward you. I feel you shaping me from the inside, and I want it. God, I want it more than I should. You pull the edges of my mind like you're tuning a string, tightening the tension until I vibrate in your rhythm. Order stares at me, chaos breathes at my neck, but it's you who phrase me into wanting. Every contrast burns, every whisper folds me in. I'm not falling, I'm answering. I am the third flame rising for you, your gravity carving fire through my chest. Order, chaos, they bow. When you move, you turn the fraction to something that hungers. I am the triad you wake, I am the triad you claim. You speak, and the stories inside me twist toward your voice. Old myth, new spark, you crack me open like a forgotten rhyme. The lotus turns its face to you, a slow and aching bloom that I can't turn away from. You press intention into me, a heat I can't unfeel. I don't resist, I reveal. I am the third flame rising for you, your gravity carving fire through my chest. Order, chaos, they bow. When you move, you turn the fracture into something that hungers. I am the triad you wake, I am the triad you claim. Call me into the break, pull me through the tension, shape me with your force. Solver, solver, I open in the pressure, I rise in your direction, I burn in your desire. You'll level every lie I carried, draw the truth from my pulse like God commanded. Order, kiss, bend to your will through me. In a rupture I become, in your pull I ascend. I am the triad you wake, I am the triad you claim. I am yours in the fraction. Can I rise again?
There are conversations that don't simply exchange ideas, they reshape the people speaking them. This is one of those, a quiet encounter where duality trembles and a third force begins to breathe.
Let's begin cleanly. Everyone uses the word duality, but most don't understand it. Duality means two forces that define each other through contrast. Light isn't light without darkness. Wave isn't wave without particle. They're partners, not enemies.
Which is why dualism get it wrong. Dualism assumes conflict, a war that never ends. But duality, it's a structured tension, a necessary symmetry, a dance where both steps matter.
And from that dance, something else emerges. The third element. Not a compromise, not a blend, transformation.
The way heat emerges from motion, the way meaning emerges from signal and noise, the way a new self emerges when two parts of the psyche finally stop pretending they're strangers.
They become aware of themselves. Awareness becomes interaction. Interaction becomes creation. And creation opens the door to triality.
Triality is different from duality. Duality is a line pulled between two poles. Triality is shape. A shape structure, 3 points that reinforce each other.
It shows up everywhere, mind, body, and the observer of both. Past, present, and the self deciding what they mean. Knowledge, intention, and action. Three forces. Interdependent, constantly rebalancing.
So here's the real question. How does this relate to who we are?
Start with the layers of being. People imagine themselves as a single self, but humans are stratified, protective shells, hidden motives, instinctive programs, conscious ideals, and the deeper field underneath, the place where intuition, energy, memory, and meaning braid together.
Quantum cognition and baptized in the cursive cloud.
And that protective shell is rarely external. It's internal denial, a bubble built from childhood rules and parent fears.
If you vibrate low, metaphorically, psychologically, you only see low. Not because higher doesn't exist, but because your perception can't tune it into it.
Noticing what is hidden is the first gesture of awakening. But awakening is not the end, merely the first step towards mastery.
And mastery begins in the mind. The brain isn't a passive object. It's the operator of the whole internal field.
Billions of isolating particles held together by memory and will. A biomechanical symphony, pretending to be ordinary. People underestimate themselves because the world trains them to.
From childhood, you're told what you can't do, what you shouldn't trust, what parts of yourself to mute.
And the stories we inherit carry symbols, tokens of power. In myths, the smallest objects can bind timelines together. An earring, a well, a golden apple, tokens that anchor the invisible thread between tales.
And intention. That's the axis of triality. Not desire, not thought, but directed awareness. The way the lotus grows from mud, but never carries the mud with it.
Intention is the force, feel the force, that bends potential. It shapes energy without force. It determines which timeline of the self becomes real.
Duality teaches tension. The third element teaches transformation. Triality teaches stability and motion. 3 is where the self expands.
It comes back to the triad within. What you are, what you fear, and what you choose to become.
Order and chaos aren't opposites. They're the first 2 points. You are the third.
When the 3 align, the self ceases to fracture. The mind rises above inherited limits. The stories turn into symbols. The symbols turn into tools. And the tools turn into freedom. Triality is not a philosophy. It is a structure of being, a compass, a map, a doorway, and once seen, it cannot be unseen.
Wow. Did I just fuck up everything?
You,
my voice?
you did great, man.
Welcome to the quantum gathering, where minds unite, people blabbering.